Hello dear soulmates, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, I'll be sharing with you guys how to make this beautiful shift dress. You can see right here on the screen. You can see this was designed with a sequin fabric, but then for this particular one, I'll be making use of this black crepe, and afterwards I'm going to stone it. Okay, now this dress is divided into two parts, the down part and the upper parts. Now for the down part, I'll be making use of 1.5 yards of fabric, and for the upper part, I'll be making use of 2 yards of fabric. I have my zip right there. I have my scissors, the pattern master, my chalk, and then of course you'll be needing your measuring tape. Now let's go ahead and fold our fabric. Now to fold, because we are going to be cutting this at once, we are going to fold into 4 with the zipper allowance coming out. Okay, so let me just take it up so you see what I'm trying to explain. You can see that the totally folded part is the front part, and then the other one, which is divided into 2, is going to be the back part, including the zipper allowance. So what you want to do is go ahead and mark out your base points, that is the baseline. Can you see what I have right there? And then whatever measurement you are going to be taking is going to start from the folded part, which is the front fabric. Okay, now divide your shoulder into 2 and then mark it out. So I've marked it out, and then I'll be coming down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. Now I'm going to go ahead and place my tape on this shoulder slope and then divide my bust circumference by 6 and add 1.5 inches. Okay, this is for us to get the chest line. So I'm going to mark it down and then connect my chest line. Now I'm going to connect like this, and next thing I want to do is go ahead and connect this chest line into the shoulder slope. Okay, so the distance between these 2 points becomes the armhole depth. Now after that, go ahead and connect the shoulder slope into the shoulder line again, and then go ahead and place your tape and mark out the neck width and the neck depth. Now for the front neck width and the depth, I'm going to use 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches respectively. Okay, now for the back neck depth, I'm going to make use of 1.5 inches. So you can see me connecting that. And once you are done with this, the next step I'm going to take is place my tape on the shoulder line and mark down to the bust point. Still leaving my tape on the shoulder line, I'm going to mark the waist point, 18 inches. And then also leaving my tape on the shoulder line, I'm going to mark the hip point, 26 inches, and then the length of the upper part of this gown, which I'm going to leave at 42 inches. But then I'm going to mark down 42.5 inches because I need half an inch to join it to the down part of this gown. So I marked down 42.5 inches. Now guys, I want you to understand something with this tutorial. The total length of the gown we are making is 60 inches, and we have the upper part to be 42 inches in length. That means if you minus 42 from 60, the down part is going to be 18 inches. Okay, but we are still going to come to that. So you can see I've made all my lines visible enough. Next step I want to take now is divide my armhole depth into 2 and then mark the center. Can you see what I'm doing? I'll go ahead and go in by half an inch, and then I'll go back to the chest line and divide the bust circumference by 4. Whatever it is that I have, I'll go ahead and mark it down. All right, and then equally mark it on the bust point line. Now go down to the waistline, divide your waist circumference by 4. Whatever it is that you have, mark it down. And now go down to the hip point, divide your hip circumference by 4. Whatever it is that you have, mark it down. And then whatever you have on the hip points, go ahead and mark it on the down part. So now that we are done, next thing you want to do is input your ease allowance and the sewing allowance. So for my ease, I'll be using half an inch, and for the sewing allowance, I'll be making use of 2 inches. So I'm going to add these two things at once. So I'll be inputting 2.5 inches all over my body measurements. Okay. And then once I'm done, I'm going to connect all my lines and equally connect the front and the back armhole. So I'm going to connect the front armhole first, and then go ahead and connect the back armhole. And then I would finish up connecting all my body measurements. So now that I'm done with all of this, next thing I want to do is go ahead and cut it out. So now before I cut out, don't forget to input your shoulder seam allowance. Okay, so I'm starting from the back. I've cut out the back neck depth, and then I'm cutting out the front neck depth. Now I'm going to input half an inch for shoulder sewing allowance, and then follow the back armhole to cut out. Can you see what I'm doing? Now after cutting out the back armhole, raise it up and then cut out the front armhole. So now I'm going to continue with my cuttings. So guys, you can see that I'm done cutting out. Now we are going to work on the zipper allowance. Okay, so what you want to do is on the waistline, go ahead and go in by 0.75 inches or 1 inch, depends on what you want. This will help avoid any form of bulge around the zipper allowance. So go ahead and connect it upwards and then down to the hip point. Okay, and then cut it out. So guys, now that I'm done with all of this, we are going to have to cut out the front design. Like I said, I'm going to be making use of a crepe fabric, but for the particular design that we are looking at, sequence was made use of. So whatever fabric you want to use, you can do that. Okay, so I've folded my crepe into two and then input my front piece. So I'm going to start this from the chest line. Okay, so you can see the way I'm cutting this out. Now that I'm done cutting out the upper parts, I'm going to mark out the sides. Okay, just take a look at what I'm doing and then I'll mark out the length as well. So I've marked out the length where I want this design to end, which is on the hip points, and then mark the sides. So I'm going to connect it just like basque. Okay, just like this. And then I would cut. Now if I'm cutting, I'm going to add half an inch seam allowance because I need to fold half an inch inward. Okay, to be able to top stitch this on the front body. So now that we are done, let me place it so that you guys can see what it should look like. Now before I place this on my fabric, I'm going to use hemming gum to hold it because this is a crepe and it stretches a lot. Okay, to make it easier for me to sew together, and afterwards I'm going to stone it as well before I add my lining. Now I'm going to go cut out my lining exactly as the fabric and then join it. You can see I've turned my fabric with the lining, and then this is the design. Can you see I've equally stoned it? So next thing we want to do right now is go ahead and join the side seams. Okay, Now to join the side seams, I'm going to bring in both the front and the back. This is the back, and I've equally gone ahead to cut out pocket for this gown because it comes with a pocket. So now what I did right here was place the right sides facing each other, join the shoulders together, and then I've marked out the side seam that I'm going to join. Now I'm going to explain what you want to do because we are going to be inputting the pocket as well, okay? So what I'm going to do is from the armhole region, okay, you can see that I've marked out how I'm going to join this. I'm going to sew from here to this point using a tie stitch, and from that point to the other point using a loose stitch, and then down with a tie stitch again. What I'm trying to show you here is where I'm going to input the pocket, okay? So to get the point you're going to be inserting your pocket, go ahead and place your tape on the shoulder and then mark down to the waist point. Now after you mark down to the waist point, from that point go down by 6 to 7 inches, and that is where you're going to insert your pocket, okay? So that pocket region is where you're going to be sewing with a loose stitch because you are still going to loosen up. Now this is my pockets. I've gone ahead to sew my pockets around, okay? Now when I'm trying to sew this, I'm going to sew using half an inch, but for the upper part I'm going to go down to half an inch before I sew around. I don't know, you can see the space I left there. Now remember that that particular place is going to have a loose stitch. So now here is how you are going to attach your pockets. Okay, make sure that your pocket is facing downwards, okay, to allow your hand to enter the pocket properly well. Okay, so now I'm going to stitch one part of the pocket to the front and then one part to the back. I hope you guys understand. So that is what I'm going to go do and then come show you guys what we have. Now you can see we are done with sewing the sides, fixing the pockets. I've also loosened the loose stitch on the pocket area, so I'm going to place my hands so that you guys can see. Can you see? Now I'm going to go ahead and bring in the fabric I'm going to be using for the down parts. Now before we bring in the fabric, here is what you want to do. Go ahead and loosen up some parts of this gown, okay, which is the back part of the gown, and then measure from one end to the other end, just as you can see me doing. Now whatever you have right there, go ahead and cut out a long fabric, okay, just enough to go around this down part of the gown. So now I'm going to bring in what I have. Now the height of this is 18 inches. Like I said, the full gown is 60 inches. Now 60 minus 43 inches, which is the upper part, we have 18 inches, but I went ahead to cut out 19.5 inches because we need to hem it and we need to join this to the upper parts, right? Now for the length of this, what I used was 2 times whatever it is that I got for the circumference by 3, and then went ahead to cut it out, okay? So that is it for this particular down part, okay? So what I want to do is to go gather it and then fix it to the down part. Now here is for the sleeve. The sleeve is very short and was also pleated around the armhole. So right here what I have was 2.5 inches on folds, and then the length is enough to go around the armhole. So I will go loosen up the side seam and then pleat this sleeve around it and cut off the excess. So guys, I will go to my sewing machine right now, fix the down part and equally fix the sleeve, place this on the mannequin so that you guys can see the final look of this gown. So guys, after I was done with the whole making of the dress, you can see what the dress is looking like. For me, this is so beautiful. It is how the stones are glittering. Like, I think I prefer this to making use of the sequin fabric. What do you think about it? Is this what you would love to try? You guys leave a comment in the comment section. And if you eventually try this out, please do make sure to link me up on Instagram page Eco Designs to Fit, showing me what your design looks like. Don't forget to share this particular tutorial. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.